That is wide. And Goff into a second semi-final here in Dubai. That was a very, very solid performance from the third seed. She came into...
I'm sitting here in my studio in total shock, genuinely struggling to find the right words. What just unfolded on center court has blown apart every expectation, every tactical projection, and every storyline we built over the past 48 hours. I need you to pause for a moment, silence the distractions, and really take this in with me. I'm staring at the official post-match stat sheet from the Coco Gauff vs Alexandra Eala quarterfinal, and it's almost impossible to comprehend the sheer dominance we just witnessed. For 2 days, we framed this as a classic, a brutal, grinding baseline war. We said Alexandra Eala had the exact tools to trouble Coco Gauff. We broke down the numbers, studied the trends, and prepared for what felt like the match of the tournament. But instead, Coco walked out, locked eyes with one of the sport's brightest young stars, and delivered a ruthless statement performance. Forget the short highlight clips circulating online. Let's talk about what really happened. This wasn't just a win, it was a masterclass. An American superstar stepping onto the biggest stage and issuing a thunderous reality check. Before diving into the numbers, I need to address both fan bases who made this one of the most anticipated quarterfinals of the year. To the Coco Gauff supporters, take your victory lap. You stood by your Grand Slam champion through every critique, questions about the serve, doubts about the forehand, whispers of vulnerability. Today, she didn't just answer those criticisms, she obliterated them. She showed exactly why she's one of the defining forces of this generation. And to the Eala supporters, the AA Army, I know this one stings. Seeing a 6-2 scoreline is tough. You've invested so much belief and emotion into this remarkable young talent, and watching her get overpowered like that hurts. But understand this is not the end of Alexandra Eala's story. It's a defining chapter. This match, as painful as it is, may be the most valuable lesson of her career. She just experienced firsthand what the very highest level of the sport looks like. She discovered what happens when sharp tactics collide with rare, generational athleticism. And sometimes, that realization, harsh as it may be, is exactly what fuels the next leap forward.
For the third seed, she came into a cauldron of an atmosphere here with the crowd behind Eala, but she kept them quiet, winning the first 10 games. Yes, there was a little wobble as Eala attempted to come back.
All week, we celebrated Alexandra Eala's tactical intelligence. We praised her ability to outthink opponents from the baseline, to construct points patiently, to win without depending on cheap, free points. But in this match, that exact blueprint unraveled under extreme pressure. Start with the first serve. Eala landed a solid 61%, on paper, that's perfectly respectable. In earlier rounds, that was enough to initiate the long, grinding rallies where she thrives. But today? She won just 32% of those first serve points. 32%. That's not a small dip. That's a collapse. It means nearly 7 out of every 10 times she put her primary delivery in play, she still lost the point. Why? Because Coco Gauff treated that serve like an invitation. She stepped well inside the baseline on returns, cut off angles early, and attacked immediately. Eala didn't record a single ace. Not one. There was no deterrent, no sting, nothing to push Gauff back. The American read the toss, anticipated the patterns, and seized control before rallies even had a chance to form. And once your first serve is neutralized, the second serve becomes a pressure cooker. In the previous round, Eala won an astonishing 74% of her second serve points. Against Gauff, that number fell to 40%. The difference is staggering. She couldn't afford to float it. She couldn't afford to be tentative. Every slightly soft delivery risked getting ripped for a winner. The rhythm she depends on from the baseline never materialized. She was reacting, scrambling, defending from the first strike onward. Eala managed just 19 receiving points in the entire match. That tells you everything. There was no sustained pressure, no momentum shifts, no extended stretches of control. She was overwhelmed by pace, by depth, by physicality. Now here's the truly astonishing part. Coco Gauff delivered a 6-0, 6-2 demolition while still fighting imperfections in her own service game. She committed 8 double faults in a match that lasted only 14 games. 8. Her first serve percentage sat at 55%, meaning she missed nearly half her initial deliveries. In most scenarios, those numbers spell trouble. Against most opponents, that kind of inconsistency drags you into a messy, unpredictable battle. But this wasn't most opponents, and Gauff isn't most athletes. When her first serve landed, she won 74% of those points. On her second serve, she still captured 64%. Even while conceding free points, she dominated every rally that actually developed. That's the separation. That's the gap. She absorbed the mechanical turbulence and compensated with overwhelming baseline authority, heavy ground strokes, explosive movement, relentless court coverage. Every neutral ball became an offensive opportunity. Every exchange tilted in her favor. This wasn't just a victory. It was a display of how elite athleticism and aggressive intent can completely dismantle a tactically sound opponent. When the ball was in play, Gauff dictated. And when you dictate that decisively, even 8 double faults can't slow you down. Coco Gauff finished the match with 55 total points, 1 to Eala's 33. A plus 22 differential in a 2-set match is not just comfortable, it's overwhelming. And here's what makes it even more telling: Gauff hit just one ace. This wasn't about untouchable serves or highlight reel bombs. She won by out-rallying, out-hitting, and outclassing her opponent from the baseline. But the stat that truly defines this match? 10 consecutive games won. 10. Picture the mental toll of that. You step onto center court for the biggest match of your career. The energy is electric. The expectations are massive. Then the first set slips away 6-0. You sit down, reset, tell yourself it's a fresh start, and suddenly you're down 4-0 again. That's not just a scoreboard problem. That's psychological suffocation. For nearly an hour, Eala searched for answers, changing patterns, adjusting depth, trying to break rhythm, and nothing worked. Every tactical tool she reached for was neutralized. Gauff was reading, reacting, and punishing with ruthless efficiency. Eala's maximum consecutive games won? 2. And those came late, when the outcome was already sealed. The Avalanche had long since buried the match. Now let's talk about pressure moments, the true heartbeat of tennis. Gauff created 9 breakpoint opportunities and converted 6. That's a 66% conversion rate. Clinical. When she sensed vulnerability, she didn't hesitate, she attacked. On the other side, Gauff's double faults gifted Eala 2 break chances. She converted just 1. Even when handed a door, it slammed shut almost immediately. Game totals tell the same story: 12 games to 2. Receiving points, 26-19. Service points, 29-14. In every measurable category, Gauff had the edge. Not marginally. Decisively. And perhaps the most intimidating takeaway? She did this without playing flawless tennis. 8 double faults. A first serve percentage hovering around 55%. Those are numbers that usually invite trouble. Instead, they barely slowed her down. What this performance signals to the rest of the tour is crystal clear: Gauff can dominate even when her mechanics aren't pristine. When the ball is in play, her athleticism, depth, and court control create a different competitive reality. For Eala, this is painful, but invaluable. This is the moment you discover where the absolute ceiling of the sport truly stands. And for Gauff, this was a statement that echoes far beyond a single quarter-final. Coco Gauff showed she can battle through a shaky ball toss, rack up 8 double faults, land just 55% of her first serves, and still walk away with a ruthless 6-0, 6-2 demolition. That's what should send chills through the rest of the draw, because it proves something critical: you cannot sit back and hope she self-destructs. If you want to beat her, you must take it to her. You have to strike clean winners past arguably the fastest mover in the women's game, and sustain that level for 2 relentless hours. Alexandra Eala tried to execute her trademark grinding, high IQ baseline strategy. Against most opponents, that formula works. Against Gauff, it was neutralized. Raw pace, explosive court coverage, and constant pressure short-circuited the tactical patterns Eala depends on. For Eala, the flight home will be reflective. But it shouldn't be defeating, it should be clarifying. That 32% first serve win rate? That's not just a stat. That's a blueprint. If she wants to lift a Grand Slam trophy one day, if she wants to trade blows consistently with the sport's apex predators, she needs a weapon that earns free points. Grinding alone won't break athletes who don't tire and don't blink in extended rallies. She needs a heavier, more punishing first serve, something that backs opponents off the baseline and changes the geometry of the court. Because stepping into another elite showdown with 0 aces and a 32% first serve success rate invites the same outcome. Now I want to hear the pulse of the fans. To the Goff supporters, how satisfying is it to watch her dismantle the hype and rip through 10 straight games? Does this feel like a championship run building in real time? Or do those 8 double faults still linger in your mind heading into the semifinals? And to the Eala faithful, does this 6-0, 6-2 lesson shake your confidence, or do you see it as a necessary scar on the path to greatness? What's the very first upgrade she must make when she's back on the practice court? Drop your honest thoughts. Let's break it all down.